Hey guys, it's Clara, and today I'm honestly filming something I didn't think I was ever probably gonna film, and that is kind of like what happened this summer, like what I was really doing, what was going on, etc. I haven't really talked to people about it, I guess, in depth, and so I think I'm gonna film that. And bear with me, I might not make sense, I might get emotional, or maybe I won't, I don't know. Maybe I will make sense. We're just gonna hop right in. So, at the beginning of summer, you guys knew I did a Bonnaroo and a Europe haul because I was going to be on my way to Berlin. That was I left May 14th for Berlin. My dad was out of town for work, and my brother was at home, and my mom was taking me to the airport. Didn't notice really anything like wrong. The night before, she'd been kind of tired. You know, the past few months she'd been kind of tired and stuff, and so she took me to the airport the next morning. She'd asked me to sleep in her bed the night before, and I was like, no, like, I don't want to. I'd been really stressed out about the trip. I didn't know why, but everyone kept asking me if I was excited, and I was like, I don't know. I'm like, I'll be excited when I get there. I don't even feel like I'm going. So I wasn't super pumped, but then I got there. I saw my friends, and I had like these travel books my mom had given me, so I started to get excited. You know, Berlin, Budapest, it's gonna be super fun. So I got on the plane, and I actually fell asleep on the plane. I remember this, holding a cup of coffee, and I remember I jolted awake because coffee spilled all over me. It was awful and embarrassing. And the second I landed, I had multiple missed calls from my dad and several voicemails, and automatically I knew something was wrong. We have a family friend who has cancer right now, so I thought it was him, and I thought he had died or something. I was freaking out. So I listened to the voicemail, and basically all it says is, you know, my dad's voice is shaking, and he's like, Clara, something's happened to your mom. They think she's had a heart attack. I'm on my way home from Phoenix. You need to get on the next plane and come back. So, oh God. Ooh. So, immediately, as soon as we landed, you know, I'm like really anxious. The plane isn't like, you know, planes takes forever to get off, and, you know, I get off, and I turn to my teacher, and I'm like, hey, it's a school trip I was going on. I was like, I can't, like, I have to go home, and so they were really helpful, and, basically I got on the next flight that I could, which was like it was like 30 minutes later, and I almost missed my flight, but I made it home finally by like 9 p.m. because then I had like a huge layover. It was just like a mess. And you know, we don't know what's going on. My dad doesn't know what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on except for my mom is in the ICU, and we're not getting there, you know. My dad didn't get in until I think 9 p.m. My brother had been by himself at home. Thankfully, my mom has the greatest friends in the world, and so they were there, you know, taking care of her, watching over her, etc., etc. Of course, my mom's unconscious. You know, she's on life support. She doesn't know what the heck's going on. So basically, I finally get to Tulsa. I feel, you know, just ill because at that point, like, it wasn't looking good at all. So finally get to the hospital, and for those of you that don't know, ICU is intensive care unit. And I just remember walking up there and like seeing her, and gosh, ooh, she was unconscious. And what they do sometimes for someone that's they said that she had had a cardiac arrest, and basically that means her heart completely stopped. And on the way to the airport, it had stopped, I think, a total of like 7 times. There were about 45 minutes off and on of her not breathing, and so just seeing her there, oh my gosh, it was crazy. And so she was going through this thing basically where it's called induced hypothermia. So they cool her body down to a certain temperature, which relieves all the stress on the heart, because, you know, the heart is like overworking, trying to pump blood. So basically it just like, I don't know, it puts you in a hypothermic state, slows everything down. And once you hit that target temperature, they start rewarming you every like half hour or something like that. And that's supposed to be kind of the scary part, and like they just weren't sure. I remember we called him Dr. Doom, one of our doctors, and all of our doctors were absolutely incredible, as well as our nurses. Looked at my brother and my dad and me, and they, because I don't think she's gonna make it. And I just remember, like, thinking about everything in my life and what I had considered important, and in that moment I was just like, Clara, what the hell have you been doing with your life? Like, life is so precious. And so I don't want to, like, ramble on and make this just sound like the worst story ever. But basically, we didn't know what was going to happen. So over the course of the next, like, few days, she was on life support. So she wasn't awake. And then finally, I think it was after day 6, she started waking up. And eventually they took out the tube because she had to be able to breathe by herself. And I mean, there was always someone in that room with her, whether it was me or my dad or one of her friends. For 6 weeks she was in the hospital, and for 6 weeks someone spent the night there with her every single night. And it was just crazy because it made me realize just, like, how special life is. And so that's why you guys didn't get any videos from Europe. And I don't know, my summer was crazy because you try to be a good friend, but sometimes it's hard because you're just, like, have so much emotion, but you don't really have time to be sad because you have to be strong for everyone else. And I have to be there for my dad and my family. And it was, sorry, I'm getting a text, I don't know why people want to talk to me now. It was just one of those things where, like, it just made me grow up, I feel like, so quickly. And that was so hard. And so now she's home. They think she had a heart attack that triggered her cardiac arrest, and she's going to therapy 3 times a week. But it's hard because she has a really bad memory. So I can have a conversation with her and walk away, and then we're going to have it 30 seconds later. And it's one of those things that, like, you start to get frustrated because in the beginning it's easy to be patient because you don't know what's happening, it's new, whatever. But then once it's been, 3 months, it kind of starts to become, like, normal, and then you start to get frustrated because it's like, where's my mom from, like, 4 months ago before the accident? Like, why can't I ask her for advice? Why, like, doesn't she remember the last 2 years? Why does she not, know that it was my birthday a couple months ago? It's like something that you take for granted. And I don't know, it made me realize, like, how special family is and how important it is to, like, pour love into other people because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know, like, when the next time you're going to see them is. And so, yeah, that was kind of that. And so I thought I'm so lucky I was home this summer. But I also had been planning to go to Bonnaroo, and that was on my birthday, so I was going to drive down on my 21st and then stay there. And I talked to my dad about it, and my mom was really stable by then. She'd been moved to, well, not really stable, but she'd been moved to the rehab facility, so they were, like, teaching her to walk and stuff like that. And so my dad was like, you need to go, like, it's your 21st birthday, like, you can't put your life on hold. And I was like, okay, like, if you think I should go, then I'm gonna go. How much time? Oh wow, I could talk for 20 more years, sorry. So he's like, if you feel like, like, I want you to go. And I was like, okay, well, if you want me to go, I'll go. So, I said bye to my mom on my birthday, and I got in the car with my best friend, and we drove down to Bonnaroo. And it was one of the best, it was the best experiences of my life. The music was incredible, and I had so much fun, and it was nice to get away from the reality of, like, Tulsa, because it was, like, I loved being there for my mom, and I was at that hospital more than anywhere else this summer. But it gets overwhelming and stressful when you're in a room and you have to listen to the beeping and the alarms going off, and they're pricking her with needles, and she's getting psychosis, so she's, like, freaking out because she doesn't remember where she is. Like, it gets stressful. And so we were driving down, and I remember we were listening to this song that this guy that I briefly dated had written me, and his name is Trevor, and he had actually sent me the updated version of the song on the day of my mom's accident. And I had kind of, like, sent this, like, half-hearted reply. Like, I wasn't really focusing, like, I don't know, on replying to people's texts, but I remember reading it, and it meant so much to me. Just, I don't know why. But long story short, or not short, but I had met him over Instagram because I thought he was really cute. So I messaged him, and we had met off Instagram on August 22nd of 2015, so almost a year ago. And we had had these like amazing conversations. Like, I had never connected with someone so deep, like intellectually. And I remember he was like several years younger than me, and we had talked about that, and that was like his thing. He was like, that's the one thing that always causes problems with other people is age. But he's like, I don't know, he just says like all these beautiful things. So we were listening to that song. Oh, I'm so bad at storytelling. Anyways, we had hung out a few times, and he was just the kind of person that like noticed the things that like everyone else overlooks. So he complimented me on like my like delicate fingers and the way I roll my R's sometimes when I talk, and just like little things like that that just like really mean a lot. And so Sarah and I were listening to that song on the way down there, and I remember getting a text like late at night or something like about him, because we had shown up on like the same like account for like some picture, and I was like kind of drunk that night. It was my 21st, what do you expect? And I'd just been really confused. I was like, what? So I woke up the next morning, and he had been in Florida, and the same tunnels had collapsed on him, and his heart had stopped, and he was on life support, but he didn't have any brain activity. And like, I was thinking about my mom and how she had been so lucky, and everything happened the way it needed to, and then for him, like, it just like it wasn't in his favor. I don't know. And he ended up passing away 2 days later, or 3 days later, I don't know, on June 12th. And I felt sick. I still feel sick, honestly. I went to his funeral, and they played the song he had written me. He called me Black Moon, and so the song was called that. And he just had so much life. And then, you know, that made me rethink everything, because I remember, like, I let his age, you know, kind of get to me. I was like, oh, he's so young, blah, blah, and, like, we hadn't been a thing in a long time, and it was a very brief moment in this world that we were a thing, but it just, again, puts things in so much perspective. And, like, this is gonna look like a crazy town, but I, like, printed off all the things that he had, like, written me, because I really want to, like, make a book. But, like, let me see if I can give you guys, like, a little, like, thing of, like, stuff that he says. Yeah, he had written me a song. He said it was originally written on a toy piano. But I don't know, he says stuff like this that just like makes you like think about life, and that's why I want to like make it a book. But he said, I think love is beautiful, and that it just happens when you spend time with a human, not necessarily someone to be affectionate with, but just in general. I used to rush it and convince myself I was in love, but I feel like when you fall in love, it'll be a lot more permanent than what I've had. I think that I want to love, but I don't know how to go about being in love, because the feeling is a ghost. My two favorite topics are death and love. I just think love is a feeling way too undescribable. Love in a romantic aspect is wanting to spend all day in bed with a human to explore bodies and experience warm and touch, and I think it's crucial to being human. And just stuff like that, you're just like, God, that's so pretty. And I don't know, the whole thing's kind of taught me, it's like, although like I'm never gonna love him, like it certainly like puts in perspective like what I want to find in someone else, and like it teaches me like the kind of person I want to love, and the kind of like respect that all of us deserve. And so I don't know, this is like a real effed up video, so we'll see where this one goes. But I just want to like tell you guys that like you don't know what the person next to you is going through. I don't know what you're going through. sort of know what I'm going through based on a 15-minute YouTube video, but I just want to say spread love. Like, love each other. You get one life, and like, yeah, some people do some shambly stuff, but it's like at the end of the day, why waste time hating? Because like everything is so temporary, you know. There's this like word, and it's éphémère, and it's fleeting, and like it's like a fleeting moment that we're living right now. My encounter with him was fleeting. Your encounter with someone else could be fleeting. I don't know. Just love people, love your family. Yeah, I don't know. I just really felt like I needed to film this. I felt sick. Maybe I need sleep. This is what happens when you get put in a single apartment. You start talking to yourself. Love you guys.